Okay, boys and girls, we're going to go through and find your assignment for math 0708 super subtraction models. We're going to do a couple problems. I'm going to do a couple problems for you as an example. So I'm going to start by going into my math course. We're looking for module 7, use equivalent fractions to add and subtract fractions. And we're looking at 708. Super subtraction models. Okay, this is a 5-page lesson, so make sure you go through all 5 pages. I'm going to show you on page 2. So what we're going to be doing, boys and girls, is using fraction models to subtract mixed numbers. And it goes through on page 2. It goes through an example of how to do this. And it says here, it gives you the problem, and then it shows you step by step of what you need to do. I would even put this in your notebook, all of these steps, so that you can use this as a guide. And I'll show you a couple of examples when we get to your worksheet. And then if you go to page 3, it also has a few other examples here. Example 1, it takes you step by step of what you need to do. So make sure you look at these examples because we are using models, fraction models, to help us do these subtraction problems of mixed numbers. So make sure you go through all of these parts. Make sure you look at them, take notes, and then make sure you continue watching this video because we're going to do a couple of examples from your worksheet. Okay, so make sure you go through those examples on pages 2 and 3 of your lesson. Your worksheet is on page 5 under What is my assignment? It's a 5-question worksheet where you are subtracting mixed numbers. Now remember, a mixed number has a whole number and a fraction together. So we're going to be subtracting mixed numbers from mixed numbers using, and look at the directions, solve the subtraction equations by using fraction models. Okay, so we're going to be using fraction models to help us do this subtraction. So as I said, we're going to do a couple of these together. I'm going to do number 1 and number 5 with you so that you have those answers. You have the model of me doing it to be able to then complete 2, 3, and 4 independently for your assignment. Okay, so we are using fraction models to subtract these mixed numbers. Now, to start, what you need to do is start with the biggest mixed number. In order to see which number or which mixed number is bigger, you look at the whole number, 5 and 2. Well, 5 is bigger than 2, so we're starting with 5 and 1/4. And in most cases, the first number in a subtraction problem is going to be your biggest, unless we're working with negative numbers, but we're not there yet. So you're going to start off by drawing this first mixed number out using fraction models. So that's what this is going to look like. So 5, I'm going to start with 5 holes, and I'm going to use boxes. So there's 1 hole, 2 holes, 3 holes, 4 holes, and 5 holes. Okay, so there's my 5 holes. Okay, and now we need to do our 1/4. So in order to do my 1/4, I'm going to draw another hole. Oh, that's too big. I'm going to draw another hole, and I'm going to take that hole and I'm going to cut it into fourths because our 1/4 is our fraction. So I'm going to look at my denominator and I'm going to break this last box up into that many pieces. So our denominator is 4. So I'm going to break apart this hole into 4 pieces. So there's 2 pieces, 3, 4, and they're not even, but that's okay. And we are only looking at 1/4. So I'm going to shade in 1/4. All right, so here is my mixed number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 4th. Okay, now I'm not going to shade these in. You can shade them in. It's just hard to shade it in with using a computer mouse, as you can see here when I shaded the 1/4. but I'm going to use all 5 of these boxes and just the 1/4 here. I am not going to worry about these 3/4. We're going to pretend that those aren't there. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do, boys and girls, is we are going to look at our second mixed number, 2 5/7. And we're going to take this mixed number and we're going to take it away from our fraction model. So I'm going to start by looking at our whole number, 2 wholes. So I'm going to start by taking away 2 wholes. Okay. So there's our 2 wholes. They're gone. Now I'm going to look at 5/7. I'm going to use this next whole to draw out my 5/7 in fractions. So again, we're going to look at the denominator 7 and we're going to break apart our fraction model, our 1 whole here into 7ths because our denominator tells us how many pieces are in our whole together. So you're going to have to kind of eyeball it. There we go. Okay, so 7 pieces. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And again, yours, it'll be a lot easier using pencil. Okay, so there's our 7 pieces, our denominator, and we're going to shade in 5. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we're going to shade in 5/7. Okay, so we're not going to use those 2 7ths. We're just using these 5. Okay, so, and we're going to cross out those 5/7 because we're taking those away. So let's just recap. I drew out my first mixed number, 5 1/4. Here's a whole, 1 whole, 2 wholes, 3 wholes, 4 wholes, 5 wholes, and a 4th. And then what I did is I looked at my second mixed number and I took away the 2 wholes by crossing them out right here. 1, 2. Then I looked at my fraction 5/7 in my second mixed number and I used one of my wholes to make this whole into 7ths. I looked at my denominator, I shaded in 5, and I took those away because I'm taking away 5/7 from this whole mixed number. So now let's see what is not crossed off. We've got, let me do a different color here. We've got 1 whole plus 1 whole. We've got these 2 wholes. What did we not cross off here? Well, we shaded in 5 and we took those 5/7 away. So we're left with 2. 1, 2. So we're left with 2. Yes, we're left with 2 7ths because we crossed out those 5/7 because that fraction in the mixed number told us to take those away. So we took away the 5/7. We're left with 2 7ths. This is gone. This is gone. These 2 wholes are gone. And we've got 1/4 here. Let's remember from this fraction, the 5 1/4, that 1/4 is right here. So now we've got an addition problem. We've got 1 plus 1 plus 2 7ths plus 1/4. Okay, well, we know that 1 plus 1 is 2. So now I've got 2 plus 2 7ths plus 1/4. Okay, well, we learned last week or before Christmas break that we can add fractions only if the denominators are the same. Here we have a 7 and a 4. Those denominators are not the same. So we need to write out our multiples to find what a common denominator would be. So I like to write out my multiples. I've got 7, 14, 21, 28. Let's see what we have for 4. So our next denominator is 4. So let's see here if we can find a common denominator or a multiple that's the same. 4, 8, 12, 15, 20. Is there anything that's the same yet? Nope. Let's see here. We got to keep going. 24, 28. Oh, there is a common multiple, 28. So we're going to take these fractions and we're going to change the denominators so that they have a denominator of 28. So I'm going to take this, oops, just so we have more room. I'm going to just circle this and move it over here so we have more room. So 2/7 and 1/4. And again, this is equivalent fractions. So we need to find equivalent fractions for 2/7 and 1/4 where the denominator is 28. Okay, so now we have to think, okay, how did I get from 4 to 28 using multiplication? Times 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 4 times 7 is 28. And then so whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. Whatever you do to the denominator, you do the numerator. We multiplied 4 times 7, so we have to not do that with our numerator. 1 times 7 is 7. We've got 7 times 4 is 28. So we have to do 2 times 4, which is 8. Okay, so now we've got our equivalent fractions of 8/28 and 7/28, and we can now add those together. So think about what we had down here. We had 2 plus 2/7 plus 1/4. So now we can do it as 2 plus 8/7. I'm sorry, 8/28 plus 7/28. And now we can add that. 8 plus 7, we've got the 2 wholes. 8 plus 7 is 15/28. So there's your final answer. That can't be reduced. 2 and 15/28. So when we have 5 and 1/4 minus 2 and 5/7, we've got 2 and 15/28 as the difference. Okay, so that's number 1. We're going to look at number 5. I'm going to go back here. We'll screenshot number 5. And again, these are a lot of steps for subtraction. But this is a great way to subtract mixed numbers. Okay, so this is number 5. Again, we're going to start by drawing out this mixed number. 3 wholes. 1, 2, 3. And then we need to do the 1/3. So I'm going to draw one more hole and break it into thirds. And I'm going to shade in one of those thirds. And we're not going to worry about these 2/3. Pretend they're not even there. Okay. All right. So now we've got our 3 and 1/3. Now let's look at our 1 and 1/4. This is what we're taking away. We're subtracting here. So we're going to take away 1 and 1/4 from this fraction model of 3 and 1/3. So we're going to start with our whole number, 1. We're going to take away 1. Then we're going to take away 1/4. We're going to use another whole and we're going to break it up into fourths. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to shade in 1. So it's 1/4. Okay, and we're going to take that 1/4 away. Okay, so now this shows that we've taken one whole away and 1/4 away. So now let's look at what we're left with. We have one whole right here. We have 1, 2, 3, 3/4 left in this fraction model. Remember, we had it in fourths. We took away the 1/4. This fraction model, this one whole is gone. We took it away when we took away the 1 out of the 1 and 1/4. And we're still left with the 1/3 from the first mixed number, 3 and 1/3. So now we're going to add these up to find the difference. So 1 plus 3/4 plus 1/3. Okay, well, I can't add 3/4 and 1/3 because they don't have the same denominators. So I'm going to do my multiples, 4 and 3. So 4, 8, 12, 16. All right, let's do our threes. 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, there's our common denominator, 12. So now I'm going to make my equivalent fractions, 3/4 and 1/3. We know we need to find an equivalent fraction where the denominator is 12. I did 4 times 3, so I got to do 1 times 4. And this is review from before Christmas break. 4 times 3 got us 12, so we need to do that to our numerator. 3 times 3 is 9. Now we've got equivalent fractions that have the same denominator of 12. So now we can add. We've got our 1. That's not a very good one. Let's redo that. Now I'm looking at this number model here. 1 plus 3/4 plus 1/3. We can rewrite so that it's 1 plus 3/4 is equal to 9/12. Sorry, guys. There we go. Let's try that again. 9/12. And we know 1/3 is equivalent to, my goodness, guys, I'm so sorry. Here we go. We know 1/3 is equivalent to 4/12. There we go. And now we can add 1 and 9/12 plus 4/12 is 13/12. Oh no, that is an improper fraction. The numerator is bigger than the denominator. That's improper. Remember, this fraction bar means to divide. So we can do 13 divided by 12 to make it a regular fraction, to make it a mixed number. 12 goes into 13 one time. 1 times 12 is 12. We subtract, we get 1. That's our remainder. I take our remainder, I drive it up over the 12. And now we've got 1 and 1/12. Okay, that's not our final answer. That's what 13/12 is equal to. So now we've got, and remember, in between a mixed number is an addition symbol. So now we've got 1 plus 1 and 1/12, which is equal to 2 and 1/12. There's our final answer. Our final answer started off as 1 and 13/12. But remember, 13/12 is an improper fraction. So we divided 13 divided by 12, and we got the mixed number of 1 and 1/12. And remember, there's an addition symbol, an invisible addition symbol in between your whole number and your fraction in a mixed number. So then we had to take our whole number 1. We know 13/12 is equal to 1 and 1/12. We add them together and you get 2 and 1/12. So our final answer is 2 and 1/12. Okay? All right, make sure you show your work for 1 and 5 by copying what we did here. And then you are responsible for 2, 3, and 4. You need to show the number models when you are solving these problems. Or I'm sorry, you need to use the fraction models when you're solving. Okay, once you're done, you're going to go to your arrow here and you'll turn in your work by clicking on that blue plus and attaching your work.